What is up, guys? Today we're going to do all of our recordings again all at once. So we're going to do a little lifestyle parable, and then we're going to do the reflection time, and then the podcast. So it's going to be awesome. I'm excited to be here with you, and I hope you can see me, hear me okay. I know there's a little bit of lag. We got a new computer coming in that's, I assume, going to fix that because it's way more powerful than the computer I'm currently using. So I just need to wait on Best Buy for that for another week or two. But today, I'm just talking a little more about learning about life from manual labor. This is just something that's just blown my mind, is that people somehow assume that doing a work like creative work is not like manual labor. This is what I used to think. I used to think I needed to be smart or I needed to have some special thing. And now I realize that's not true. Okay. And one of the books that helped me realize this was The Prosperous Coach. It's a coaching book my mom got me. Let's see if I have it here. I think it's upstairs. But anyway, there's this Prosperous Coach book, right? One of the biggest books in the coaching industry, written by these two great life coaches. And one of the coaches is telling a story there. It's all these small chapters with these little metaphors and analogies for life and stuff. And one of the things he says is, have you ever heard of he says, I was working with an author, right? And this author just kept saying, I have writer's block. I have writer's block. And and then the coach, Rich or Steve, whichever one of them was writing this chapter, I think it was Steve, wrote down, and he was like, listen, man, have you ever heard of a trucker having trucker's block? Does a trucker ever wake up and think, man, I just feel blocked. I don't know if I can drive today, No, they have a destination map, and they follow it, and they drive to where they're supposed to go, okay? And so then he said what he would do to coach his author is just that you just have to write 2,000 words a day. It doesn't matter if they're terrible. You just have to write them, okay? And so there's some real power in this, and it's actually just, again, something I'm loving to do right now, something I'm really into in 2020, is using the laws of physics, right, in the physical world to explain the same principles in the mental and emotional and consciousness world, which, is just all the same. It all works on the same physics. And so the reason, as creatives or as any kind of thing in your life that you're not getting done, is probably because you don't think of it as a manual labor, right? And so there's a few things that go into that. One is that you think that you need to be special in some way or show up with some super special, unique thing. And that's not really true. Again, we talked this week about how being special is overrated, right? You don't really want to try to be extraordinary compared to others, because then you're also going to have to be weird compared to others, and you're going to have this kind of Dobby complex where that doesn't work for you. So instead, you just want to say, hey, what's unique about me? I can do that in a non-standard way, but I'm going to take standard best practices from everything else, And so some of the ways I'm using this, right, is now when I'm streaming, I'm not as worried about what I'm saying, which sounds funny. But the truth is, the way you get the value from what I'm saying is that I take my destination map, my streaming schedule, and I do it every day so that you have a completely consistent experience, guys. And perhaps this is the principle that we are all missing out on. This is something I really didn't realize in life until very recently, and I'm still learning. And it is that consistency is always the most important thing. And now you've heard that before, right? You've heard that before. I know you have, right? I've heard that 1,000 times. They say consistency is king. You got to practice every day. You got to work hard every day, okay? But there was a reason I wasn't being as consistent with my video schedule, my streaming schedule, all that stuff. There's a reason you're not being consistent. It's because you've heard that, but it sounds like a bunch of pain just to hope that something pays off someday, okay? Let's imagine you're a trucker and you're consistent every day. Well, maybe it just feels like a bunch of pain, right? A bunch of work and just, hopefully, if I just keep trucking, I'll have enough money to feed my family or something. And so many of us, even if we think in that consistency mindset, that blue collar work ethic, just show up everyday mindset, we just think of it as oh man, that's a lot of pain to be consistent every day just to maybe get something. And so I want to tell you a little bit about the beauty of consistency, right? And how much that affects others, okay? The beauty of consistency, why consistency helps you get so many more results in anything you want in life, is because it's just enormously helpful to others. Enormously, extraordinarily helpful to others. And as you get exponentially more consistent and down to the millisecond on the ways you interact with people, it is just so above and beyond helpful to them that it will blow your mind. And so that's why I'm so high on this right now. Okay, that's why I'm so high on this principle is, for example, okay, I like to watch some YouTube videos of video games now and then because I like some games. There's this one person who I always watch his videos, right? He doesn't even play my favorite game. He plays some game called Slay the Spire, which is a cool game, but it's not my favorite. My favorites are Magic and other two-player card games. And the reason I love his videos so much is because they always come out at 11:50 a.m. Eastern Time. I just always know that his video is going to come out at 11:50 or 11:45, somewhere like right around 12. And so every day, right, I know that without a doubt, this Jorbs video is going to come up at 11:45. And guess what? I take lunch at 11:45. And so then I get a cup of coffee or I get my, protein shake after my workout and I watch his video. And you might say, well, okay, but like, what if he just published once a day just randomly? What if he just published randomly? Well, then I wouldn't be set on how to do it. I wouldn't have a consistent experience, so I can't plan around that, right? And so I always try to kind of make this meta point that when you're doing things in life, if you're trying to improve yourself or be better, you always want to make sure you're using the most of your human capacity. An animal can do things at random times, but only humans can create clocks and synchronize ourselves so that we can all benefit from each other in a synchronous and synergistic way, right? And so that's why the consistency is so important. There are other content creators out there who I really like, but since their stuff comes out kind of randomly, I don't ever plan my time around them and I eventually forget about them. And frankly, I've been one of those people for my whole life. I've just kind of put stuff out there, and hoped that people would go for it. Now, what I'm doing, right, my own goal, I'm practicing what I preach, is rather than try and sell any of my programs or do anything else, all I want to do is prove to you that I'm going to be consistently here always, okay? 7 days a week, 9:15 a.m., starting this talk. We're going to go straight into these three things, so the schedule over there on the side is not quite accurate because I'm going to update it soon. I'm getting more and more consistent, and we're going to do the parable type thing, and then the reflections, and then the podcast all at once. And then I'm going to schedule everything to go live at exactly noon Eastern every day. And so what this means for you is now if you're consuming my stuff, you don't have to worry about when it's going to come out or could I fit that in there or whatever. You just know that every single day at noon, there's going to be a podcast, a set of 4 videos, which are a parable, a self-reflection, a podcast live video, and a workout video. And that they're all going to come out at exactly noon, okay? So you don't have to stress. And so, it's so funny because people just walk around feeling like they're failing all the time and then they get in their head, right? Like they get in their head. But the truth is, if you just focus on being consistent down to the millisecond, right? It doesn't matter if what you're doing is that good because it's the consistency that serves somebody, okay? And so now we get into a little bit of a deeper point, right? When your ego is involved and you are trying to be extraordinary, but you're afraid of being weird, right? Which we're talking about kind of this week in non-standard week. When your ego is involved, what happens is that you keep thinking you have to bring something special. But the truth is, if you're doing something to get a result that involves other people, it's not about you at all. It's simply a question of what brings the most value to other people. And what's funny is while anyone has the ability to be consistent, what brings the most value to people is consistency, is like super duper consistency, right? Because people get so much anxiety when their things aren't consistent. I'll give you an example. I ordered my new computer from Best Buy. You know what makes me really upset about Best Buy? I did it because I got a better deal, a better discount than on Amazon for the same computer, and I trust Best Buy more because of computers. But they haven't told me when they're going to ship my computer. They just said, we're getting it ready for you. The beauty of Amazon is that when I order even a computer, they say, okay, well, it's going to take longer since it's a computer, but it's getting to you in 8 days. So I know, right? Every day I'm waking up and I bought this computer from Best Buy, and every day I'm like, well, Best Buy, are you ever even going to send me this computer? Meanwhile, on Amazon, I knew last Wednesday when I looked at it, it said it's coming on Thursday. So Thursday the 18th, if you want your computer. And so every day I wake up and I really do think, man, if I had ordered that computer on Amazon, I would know it's coming tomorrow. And that's an immense value for me. And so what's funny is Best Buy gave me a better deal. Best Buy gave me more discounts. Best Buy gave me a better computer for the same price. But I'm honestly having a much worse experience because I don't know when it's going to ship, right? And so, again, I'm working on that in my business. One thing I feel like I've let my customers down on Etsy, as good as I am with Prince by Preetha and our Etsy shop, people don't know exactly when their thing is going to ship. And so I'm implementing a new policy for myself as of apparently right this moment, where every time someone orders, I tell them when their thing's going to ship, or better yet, I just ship it immediately, right? People are stunned by fast shipping. But if I can't ship it immediately because it's something bigger that requires me to go to a post office trip, I say, here's exactly when your thing is going to ship, right? I got one person's order right now. Today's Wednesday. I'm not going to ship it until Friday because I don't want to go to the post office more than twice a week. And so I'm just going to message them right now and say, hey, your thing's shipping on Friday. And that will help them so much more than if my product was better or if my product was more unique or cleverer. But honestly, our Prince products are already really great. You should grab one, right? You should check out Preetha's new Black Lives Matter print. Anyway, that's what I've been thinking about today. And so I want you to know that life is a blue-collar job. You know why there's so much value in a trucker sticking to his destination map? It's because it's way more important, let's say he's carrying produce, that the produce gets there on time for the customers than it is that it's the perfect produce, right? Imagine if you walked into the grocery store and once every 3 times you went in the grocery store, there was no produce. And what if the grocery store manager said to you, but no, the other 2 out of 3 times, it's the best produce in the world. It's better than anyone else's produce. You can see how fresh it is. It's cheaper. It's more efficient. It's like all this stuff is better. But honestly, if you went to the grocery and even a couple of the items you want are not there, you have to go to a whole nother grocery. It's miserable. It's so irritating. It makes you want to just scream. And so that's an example of why the trucker's consistency is so important. It's because the consistency of delivery is far more valuable to another person's experience than the quality of the product. And so if you want to know why you're stressed, it's because you keep failing at things in life. Whatever's hard for you right now, you keep failing. And then when you fail, you say, well, I must not be smart enough. I must not have a good enough thing. I must not be good enough at selling it to people. That's the phase I went through. I went from, I must not be good enough. And then I knew my stuff was good enough, but I couldn't sell it well. And I thought, well, I must need to get better at selling things. So I got better at selling things, still didn't work. And now I'm finally at the point where I realized, oh my gosh, it's not about a good thing or selling it well. It's can you create the ultimate consistent experience, right? With Amazon, it's just so consistent. I don't even think of ordering things from somewhere else because it's so consistent for me, And for example, right now in COVID with grocery shopping, okay, when I go to BJ's Wholesale Club, sometimes they don't have all the stuff. The shelves have been empty lately. That's really irritating, so I've kind of stopped going. When I went to Food Lion, another supermarket, they didn't have some stuff, and I was like, are you kidding me? When I go to Trader Joe's, every day, there's a person to greet me. They're very nice. There's a very organized line if there's a line. They let me in. They wash my cart. They always have a fully stocked place with every single item. Every time I go, it's about the same number of people in the store because they limit the number. Then I go through, I wait in line. I have the same experience at checkout where they sanitize the counter and then they make me wait behind while they do my groceries and then they bag them up and then they let me come pay. And they put my receipt in my bag and they send me off and someone walks me to my car so they can take my cart back. Every time. Okay? And so I love Trader Joe's, and I'm never going to go anywhere else ever again for the rest of my life. I'm now a Trader Joe's grocery shopper for the rest of my life. And it's not because their food is that special, right? There are items that I prefer at other grocery stores. There are items that I would rather get at Whole Foods or other places, right? But this Trader Joe's gave me such a consistent experience that it's no longer stressful. I don't have to hold any extra energy in the tank, right, to go to the grocery because I know Trader Joe's is going to be exactly like this. It's still tiring. I still got to put on a mask and gloves and be very careful, but it's exactly what I expect, okay? And so what you're doing for others, what you could do is try to create a more consistent experience, and what you can do for yourself is create a more consistent routine. And you're doing this, and when you do this, right, when you're consistent and you measure your routine, the really important thing is that you put no judgment on the quality of your work and no judgment on your ability to convince others that it's the right work, okay? That's what I spent all my time on for my whole life, is I tried to work really, really hard on good stuff, and then I tried to work really, really hard to convince people my stuff was good, whether in school, right, or at work, At work, right, I was always trying to, do the best job and then convince people my job was good. But the truth is, the manager just wants to know, is this going to be done by the time I need it done, right? And so it's always the same in life. Consistency is very underrated, but it's not because consistency, it's not just because consistency gets the best results. We all know that, right? We know that, if I work out every day consistently, I'm going to get much better results. But the truth is, that's not going to motivate you enough. That's not going to be enough to inspire you because consistency is extraordinarily hard. And so the way you get yourself to actually do things consistently is not by pushing yourself, but by actually grasping the reality of just how valuable consistency is. Like I said, it's a human thing, the ability to synchronize with other people for synergistic benefits, okay? And so what I'm doing now is I'm just going to start becoming more and more rigid, right? Minute by minute on what I'm doing. Like I think today I might have started streaming 6 or 7 minutes late. That's unacceptable, right? I will start, like I'm getting to the point where I'm going to be 9:15 every day. And I'm going to learn how to be so efficient that at 9:15 it's the parable. And at 9:30 or whatever, it's my self-reflection. Right now it's 9:40. And at 9:45, it's the podcast. And at 10:15, it's the health section. And I'm done at 11 and everything goes up at 12, right? And by doing that, now you are totally safe in my hands. Now what you know is that if you just need a little pick-me-up, right, you can listen at 9:15. If you want to get inspired to be fit and healthy, you can listen at 10:15 or whatever, Or if you want to catch replays, right, you can get them all right at noon. So on your lunch break, instead of watching some distracting TV or YouTube, you can watch my stuff, right? And so guys, that's just the message I wanted to bring today, the reflection on why consistency is so important. And so I want you to think of life like a trucker. But again, it's not that the trucker is forced to be consistent because he doesn't have options. It's because the value of that thing is consistency in delivering a product or service to someone is the most valuable thing on a scale of exponential nature compared to anything else. And so again, if you're a parent, right, then consistently being able to read that bedtime story at exactly 7:30 p.m. or 8 p.m. or whatever, right, that consistency is more important than you picking a good story or reading a good story or having the best energy in the world while you read that story, right? It's a consistency. If you're on fitness, right, it's that consistency of showing up that's more important than how good your workout is because you're going to be able to create routines around it. If you're doing any kind of business, right, it's a consistency with which you communicate that helps people feel comfortable working with you. And so guys, that's what I'm all into now is consistency. And I'm very, very excited about that. So this was just a little parable for you, just a little idea of, truckers don't have trucker's block. Writers can have writer's block. Why is that? It doesn't really make sense. And so now we're going to move directly into the part where I do a little reflection on my life. So cut to the next video, but feel free to advance on. We keep the stream going, and feel free to move on to the reflection video if you want to keep walking through this with me today.